So ironically, this phone, Commander, has actually become the news outlet for the Denver Post, the Westward, for former mayors, because obviously the press doesn't have a chance to be out there all day the whole time, and so we've been out there. And so thanks for being with us, by the way. So over the last 4 days, we've been able to not get folks arrested, and that's because of the cooperation of the folks here and the cooperation of you. What happens next if you have to sweep tomorrow and these folks don't want to move?
I think it's going to come down to the individual day. Everything that we do is based on individual person's actions and individual situations.
Yeah.
There is, no mass. Because of this, it's going to be based on what the individual situation and the individual actions are.
Right.
So, like I said, we are coming in there. We have been authorized by Public Works to remove and clean up encumbrances. And the goal, we are secondary on this. Public Works is the lead agency, and Human Services to come in here. And we are there to provide a safe working environment for them to do that.
And if JR, you're tired of having to move, right?
Yes, I am.
And so what if he decides not to move?
I think it's will come down to we will have to address it.
Yeah.
And there's lots of things that play into addressing that. Do we have a lawful order? Do we have a law violation? Bottom line, we respect everybody's constitutional rights out there. So we're not looking to violate someone's constitutional rights. Just as I explained to you today, we accomplished our goal. That area was clean. For me to move in there and say, I am now going to issue you a ticket, it would have been counterproductive because I have got that done. But if it comes down to the point where we're unable to clean, to bring the sweeper through or something, then we will be evaluating each individual situation, and the actions that we take will be based on that individual situation.
And let me ask you, I think it's fair to say that, and I know you can't say this, but that the urban camping ban in its current iteration is leaving people out into the cold, into the night. I think we heard that someone died. Certainly there have been 2 miscarriages that have happened in the streets over the last few weeks. So is it fair to say that we agree that we have to find a different solution to the urban camping ban?
The urban camping ban's out there, and it's there. So that's
not your job.
That's up to the debate. I am not the legislation or anything else. So that part I'm not going to come into. I can tell you that we have very specific guidelines that we're going to take to enforce the camping ban. A lot of that incorporates trying to get people into services. My guys are out there on a day-to-day basis trying to match up and get people into services. So, that's the ultimate goal of that, is not to come in and have to make an arrest. But that being said, if we've gone through all of our protocol and it comes down to that, then it's there. Just like the advisement on the trespass, which requires that the business owner agrees that they want to file a complaint, and then...
Has Samaritan House filed a complaint?
The Samaritan House has agreed that they, do not want people trespassing on their property.
So they've agreed. Does that mean that they've said to you they have filed a complaint?
We have a no trespass agreement that businesses sign that allow us to enforce trespass that's there. So we do have a signed trespass agreement, and each morning that we have started this, we'll go in to make sure that that's the direction where they are.
So the Samaritan House, whose mission it is to provide housing for the poor, is basically pressing trespassing charges.
They have said that they would.
Federal grants and federal money that...
Yeah, we know that.
But what it comes down to is they do offer services within there.
No, I know.
Until they kick you out for dumb reasons.
I was there in the bed just 3 days under doctor's orders.
Why were you kicked out?
I was kicked out for calling the lawyer because they were breaking the law.
And so who kicked you out?
Samaritan House.
The police didn't, right?
No.
No. Samaritan House.
When it comes down, I think we have to, if I have, no matter Samaritan House, across the street to the apartment building that's there, to whoever, if I've got someone that says they want to file a trespass complaint and the person's been advised that they're trespassing and they choose not to, then I, am in a position where I have to enforce that. And I'm not going to get into judgment about who is signing whatever complaints and stuff. My job, I took an oath to, swore to enforce the Constitution of the United States, which includes First Amendment rights and freedom rights, and also to uphold, the Constitution of the City and County of Denver, and to enforce the rules and laws of the state and the city.
Yeah.
So I don't want to big room with Randy or JR or Becky. Did you guys want to say something?
I just think they just need a lot more affordable housing, for disabled and people on SSI. I get SSI check. I'm disabled, I'm 56 years old. I wake up every morning, wish I could go to work. I was a shrimper. I shrimp for 5 years. I go out shrimping, see sky and water up to 45 days without seeing land. Until you go out on the ocean for 30 days, see sky and water, be 50 miles to land, you don't know what life is, I got sick out there 3 weeks before I came in. He kept asking me if he wanted me to call Coast Guard. I asked him, is the boat sinking? He says, the boat's not sinking. I said, I'm not getting off this boat unless it's sinking. Because if I left that boat, I would have lost my share of the catch. And we was filling the boat up every catch. I was making $4,000 a month. Rent, food paid for, Room and board was paid for. I had no rent. I lived on the boat, 3 feet above sea level. I come here because I couldn't get pain medication. I was born in 1960 and I just happened to like my long hair. I walk into a doctor's office trying to get narcotics for my pain.
You too.
No, long hair, drug addict, he's not getting that. I smoke marijuana. As far as other drugs, I drink a beer every now and then. I smoke marijuana for pain, if I could get pain medication like I told you I was going to have the rest of my life when I had surgery in West Beach, Miami. I have yet to see an Oxycontin legally subscribed to me. I bought plenty of them off the street because I have self-medicate.
Can I ask you a question? There were a couple of people that were ready to get arrested today who actually have severe disabilities. What can we expect if people are going to voluntarily get arrested? So you were going to get arrested. Tell me, what were you going to do today? And what's your name?
I'm Francis. I was just prepared to help.
And you're formerly homeless?
I was homeless for 1.5 years, and my wife and I were harassed needlessly over and over again while we were trying to redo a tiny home in Lakewood, and our friends graciously allowed us to park it in front of their place, and then somebody complained, and we just had to move it and 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 put it in storage, and then move it and put it in storage, and then eventually it got destroyed because we couldn't work on it enough, and so we were sleeping in tents. We slept in a garage. We slept wherever we could sleep, and we finally were able to get a bus. We had to sell our townhouse just to get the money to buy a bus. So now we live on a farm, and it's definitely not an easy life. But I have secondary progressive MS, and I've been waiting for my disability to come through for over 1 year. But I'm still willing to stay out there with these folks and do whatever is necessary, because this is ridiculous.
So, like I said, if we have to make arrests, when it comes to the mental illness and some of that stuff, we do have caseworkers that work with us. We have a co-responder unit. We've had them out there from the beginning to make available to people if we need to try to address that, to try to get some of those services. We have had the outreach workers out there too to try to come up with some connections. But I'm asking you,
so if JR were to get arrested, he could be held for 48 hours.
That one I can't tell you. That's up to the courts. That we don't have any input.
Can't you just give us a citation?
There is. What can happen is we're going to look to do what the least amount to get it done. So If we can accomplish the goal with the citation, we'll start with the citation. If that's not going to accomplish it, then we can gel. A lot of that plays, do you have good identification and some policies and procedures that we have? Ultimately, like I've said from the get-go, our goal is not to jump out there and arrest a bunch of people. I'm looking to get that voluntary compliance, and I can tell you that I am extremely appreciative that we have got it. We've had a lot of verbal non-compliance, but you know what? You have the right to express some of that. So, you know, as I told you at the beginning of the day, you know, I want to try to get through this with no arrests. I want to try to get through this with, you know, and let's work through and work as an entire team to try to come to a solution to this.
Absolutely.
So, back to the point of meeting regarding a common goal and how we can meet that common goal without having everybody moved every day in this current situation that's going on. So, I don't know, I guess you weren't in this district last year when they were, okay, so, and I guess nobody else at this table was either, so, okay, so.
I was.
In last winter?
In March, yeah.
No, before March.
Oh no.
So last winter, starting around September-ish, maybe August, through somewhere around, well, really till March 8th. They were doing this same practice but different, so there was a time where people were being forced to switch over to the other side of the sidewalk and then come back. For a while it was 3 days a week, and then switched over to 5 days a week. So what can we do? Two things. One, to know what the policies are ahead of time, and so that everybody can understand what to expect. And two, to work to change those policies immediately, and so that people don't have to be losing their stuff and moving away and losing jobs and losing sleep and so on and so forth.
So I guess the first thing, you know, what we did before we moved into this is we immediately began flyering the neighborhood, making notifications that this cleanup was going to occur. The cleanup in this area is nothing new. It has continued before this. The difference this time has been, you know, moving and actually moving off from the street.
Well, and for a number of months, but so people didn't start moving back onto the block like really until about summer.
Right.
Between the summer until now, this hasn't been happening. So
Well,
there's a
they've
long,
been there doing cleanups.
a little bit, but not with the
Not to
with the
this
forced
extent.
move.
Twice a week,
So
Tuesday and Thursdays.
yeah, so why the change, and what can it take to get back to a place
I
where
think
we
the conditions and the number of people is one of the big reasons. The concern for the humane conditions that are down there, the cleanliness and all that. And I think ultimately, the ultimate goal is let's try to get you guys into services or provider or figure out what it's going to take. Because I don't think anybody, you don't enjoy living out there on the street corner. If you had your ultimate dream or your ultimate wish, it wouldn't be to be there. And I've been told reasons why you don't want to be in the shelters, and I've taken those forward. And that's where, you know, I said, and I continue to say this, I go to community meetings in my district all day long where homelessness is a concern with neighbors in every neighborhood, not just down here.
You're scared of
And I am, you know,
Most neighborhoods don't want homeless people.
my conversation to them is it's going to require all of us coming together to hopefully solve this. This is not a situation that is unique to Denver. This is going on
I lived in
across
Key
the
West,
United
Florida,
States.
where they started building condos on the beaches and stuff. There used to be a lot of homeless people in Key West, Florida, Stock Island and stuff, till the condos started being built. Then they buy you a one-way ticket out there, and they give you the bus ticket, give you out there, and they say, here's your ticket out here, don't fucking come back here.
Okay.
So that's why they got rid of them there, you know. But that's not a good way. In Georgia, and I went through it in Georgia. You know, they build the condos. They don't want the homeless people there. They get rid of them somehow. You know.
So, and you know,
Galveston,
Denver's,
Texas, the same way. I mean, this third city I've seen build condos. You know, to get rid of the homeless. Homeless are going to be anywhere in any city because homeless it's going to be more and more of it because the economy is getting worse and worse as we speak.
okay.
So, just the one question I have real quick, and I don't want to know why, like when you go apply for housing or assistance through public assistance, you have to be homeless for a minimum of 60 days before you can get any real type of help. and be like, as far as being like on the housing assistance list. Now, if you have to be homeless for 60 days, where are you supposed to be homeless at if you can't be out on the streets? Which is kind of the state stepping on itself right there. Right?
Yeah, at the gathering, they'll give you a bus ticket out of here, but on the condition that you don't come back and you are not allowed to use their services for 2 years.
Gathering place?
Yeah.
So I know that they do have some services, but generally what I have heard is it's based on trying to get you connected back with family members and stuff. I don't know about the gathering place. That's really, not the city. That's another.
Right, but like for me, okay, I'm a lesbian and I'm married to a transgender, and my parents are devout Roman Catholics. That's a sin, an unforgivable sin, and my parents don't talk to me. I can't be reconnected with my
No, I
family.
know. I'm just saying, there are some folks out there that can. That's not the solution for everybody, and that's, I think, what we need to know is that it's
We got
not a cookie
16-year-old
cutter.
runaway daughter had her mama come get her the other night.
Yep. No, she was 14.
14, but her mama come and got her. Said her mama didn't warn her.
Little
I
Bird.
couldn't tell.
It was Little Bird.
Yeah.
Finish your sentence. What were you gonna say? Not a cookie cutter. What?
I said we can't take a cookie cutter approach to try to solve this. That's
Definitely can't.
why
because
we
we're all
need
different.
to, seek the input from everybody that's there. And that's, where you do have the benefit with me that I can at least bring the information back to the committee. And I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to try to address this. I know that I can't arrest myself, and nor am I going to try to arrest myself out of this. The city is not interested in that. I can tell you, you've got some citizens out there that fully believe that that's the answer to this. And I know the mayor is not. I mean, the state law is out there to what you can do in citizen arrests.
Oh no, I was teasing. Since
Yeah.
you said you couldn't arrest yourself, I was like, can we put you in handcuffs?
If I break certain laws. But, I
We
think,
sure appreciate your time.
you bet.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
And
it's
you
one
guys,
thing.
did I give you guys my cards or not? I think I did out
We
there.
would love your card.
And I just want to say, I think that it's the role that you can play in speaking to the realities that you're hearing on the streets, understanding the specific circumstances and why these quote-unquote services are not actually serving needs for so many people. I think that is a very significant role that you can play, and I'm very grateful that you're in that
And that's,
position to do that.
and that's,
One for
why
LJ.
he's got 2 or 3.
He's got a couple.
But I
got a
will,
book of 'em.
Yeah. But like I said, I will continue to try to take your message forward. If you get something else that you thought of, I'm at the district station. If you don't get me on the phone, you can leave a message. I don't know. I know you've got a phone sitting there, so if you got access to email, I communicate by email. Like I said, I'm very committed to trying to come up with the solution. Because to me, anybody that was out there last night was not a good condition for anybody to be in. We were only in our 20s. We weren't experiencing the extreme thing. And we started daring, for officers to go out and start checking for people.
Well, the reason yesterday was so bad because the day before it was 80-something degrees.
I know.
And it went from 86 to 20.
86 to 26 in a matter of a
And
day.
snowing and
Only
wet.
in Colorado.
And snowing.
No, I've seen it in
I know, and today it's hot again.
I like it here.
Well, so one more question. So, since you are in these meetings a lot and really care and I think have a good heart for what's going on, and since you aren't the final decision maker and so often have to bring things back to other higher authorities, do you think that you could play a role in getting all of us a meeting with the mayor? We've been trying to meet with the mayor for about 9 months now, and he's refusing to meet with us.
I can bring that up.
I can also start making contacts and try that as well.
We've been at him about this for about 9 months.
It's because he hates us.
No, I don't think
I
that's
don't
it.
think it is. And the one that I would say is just like this meeting.
He
that
doesn't
we
know
had
what to
here
do.
wanna ask.
He doesn't know what to do is what the problem
is,
is.
I think you stand a better chance at meeting with the mayor or one of his representatives if we come together in a very reasonable conversation, much like we're having here, and that you don't walk in there highly agitated or stuff. No one gets anything. If I walk in here hollering and yelling and voice, you're not going to hear what I say or care to. And you know, I will bring that forward.
It just really does him no good to hide.
Yeah.
You know, it's no good to save face. It just makes him look bad.
So I will bring it forward and we will see.
I have one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
A few weeks ago, do you remember the night it hailed?
I'm sure I
It
do.
hailed at like 11:30 at night. Okay. Your police officers, your night police officers, came out about 20 minutes before it hailed and told us we couldn't have anything under us, couldn't have anything over us. And then they sat in their car. And then the hail came. And they reached out with their loudspeakers and they told us if anybody covers themselves, they're being arrested. And that was crap. It was hailing. And we had to sit on the concrete and let ourselves get hailed on. That was dangerous. That was not safe. And that is completely wrong of a police officer who is here to serve and protect to allow us to be beat on by rocks.
Okay. So I can look into that if you'd like, or if you're just, you know, letting me know. You know.
I mean, seriously, that was just wrong. It was ridiculous.
So, like I said, we have a camping ordinance that's out there that's very specific, and we work with, you know, advisements first and then move through a chain. And I don't know if you've got to the point you get written warnings and some of that, but
I've had
we've
one.
had it.
Some of my
So,
friends have about
you know,
15 written warnings.
I've only ever gotten one.
So, you know, the goal is to try to get you the services that you need. And I understand sometimes those services aren't exactly what you want or whatever, but
Or accessible.
accessible. All right?
Well, thank you very much for meeting with us and
You bet.
taking the time to listen to our questions.
I will take the messages, the notes I've got is, you know, the empty warehouse, trash receptacles, potential for a tent city. It's there. I can tell you after talking to a commander in Commerce City, that he says Adams County is potentially thinking of that too. I don't know what the city stance is,
Yeah.
but you know, the Urban Land Conservatory has land you brought up. I think they're aware of that. Understanding of a common goal in moving forward, and trash bags every day that we appreciate to help clean up. The ideal that you have to be homeless for 60 days before the housing service is a concern, and a meeting with the mayor. Is there something else I missed?
Well, for the common goal, the point I was trying to get there is I think we have a common goal of keeping the block clean and not having obstructions in the sidewalk. And with that common goal, my question is, how can we meet that common goal without being moved every day?
I guess in times of inclement weather, such as snow, rain, hail, tornado, hurricane, whatever, we should be allowed to shelter ourselves outside. If you cannot get us into a shelter, we should be allowed to protect ourselves.
I think there's meetings happening with every city councilman. You and I just saw Councilman Brooks to create at least, if not the total suspension of the camping ban, an emergency suspension of the camping ban during inclement weather.
Which is what I just said. Because you missed it when I was telling you. There was a night that it hailed around 11:30 at night. The police showed up about 20 minutes before it hailed and told us that we could not have our tents, or we could not have no tents, nothing under us, nothing over us. We could sit on the concrete, we could not lay down. And then they sat in their cars and watched it start hailing and put their loudspeaker out and went, if anybody puts anything over them, we're arresting them. While it was hailing.
So our commander will look into that.
Okay.
Thank you, our commander.
Thank you.
All right.
We appreciate your total accessibility in trying to solve this problem with dignity and human respect.
And like I said, you guys all have my card, so reach out. And if there's issues with my officers, I'm ultimately responsible for those, and I will address those issues. you know, not the behavior that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I do expect them to get out and try to, you know, enforce what's out there, but we also need to do it with dignity, respect, and everything else.
And
Serve and protect.
please also, if there are meetings